Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday, April 2nd, 2026 regular meeting of the Menifee Parks, Recreation, and Trails Commission. My name is David Faust. I'm the chair, and I'll be conducting the meeting tonight. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. And let's move to item 2 is roll call. Madam Clerk, can you please call roll?
Commissioner Gilroyce?
Here.
Commissioner Matoyer?
Here.
Commissioner Tremblay is absent but on her way. Vice Chair Peterson? Here. And Chair Faust?
Here, present, thank you. We'll now do the Pledge of Allegiance, and I've asked Commissioner Peterson to lead us in that.
Okay, everybody can please stand.
Thank you. Let's go to item number 4, agenda approval or modifications. Madam Clerk, are there any modifications to the agenda tonight?
There are none.
Okay. Can I ask the commission for an all in favor to approve the agenda as modified?
So moved.
Okay. Any opposed? All right. Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Let's go to agenda item number 5, presentations, and we'll start with 5.1. Youth Basketball League 2026 season recap. Could I have Community Services Coordinator Savannah Jackson please present this item?
All right, good evening, Commissioners. My name is Savannah Jackson, and I'm the Community Service Leader 2, helping with sports and healthy Menifee. Thank you for this opportunity to recap our 2026 youth basketball season and honor our league champions and the coaches of the year. So this youth basketball season, we were fortunate to register 276 participants, with 91% of them being Menifee residents. We brought in 23 volunteer coaches, 15 of which were new coaches, as well as 4 new female head coaches. So this season we had 28 teams, and for the first time we were able to offer an all-girls division. This division had 4 teams and was very appreciated by the community. Our volunteer coaches each dedicated over 24 hours this season, empowering athletes to lead with respect, discipline, and sportsmanship. Their contribution to the season is very appreciated, and we are grateful for the commitment to our league, community, and athletes. Thank you, coaches. We would like to invite the commissioners down to take photos with our Coaches of the Year and championship teams. Coaches, when your names are called, please come up for a brief picture. So for Division A, we have Coach David Firm, which I don't think is in attendance tonight. And then for Division B, who I also don't think was able to make it tonight, was Coach Kevin Brown. For Division C, we have co-coaches Josiah Cooper and Micah Long. For Division D, we have Coach Julianne Clark. So correction for that, that was Pee Wee division was Julian Clark. For Division D, we have Alfonso Game, who was unavailable to make it tonight as well. And then for Division 2, we have Coach William Walker. Coaches, we thank you for continuing to inspire the next generation of athletes. Our championship teams showed commitment, dedication, and resilience this season. Congratulations on all your hard work. Teams, when I call your name, come up with your certificates for a photo. For Division A, we have the Wildcats, coached by Derek Snyder. For Division B, we have the Kobe's, coached by Alicia Good. For Division C, we have the Lakers, coached by Josiah Cooper and Micah Long. And for Division 2, we have the Aces, coached by William Walker. All right, to the families, we thank you as well for believing in our league. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you back next season. Thank you. Yeah, of course. Thank you guys. I love that we can do the all-girls league, at least for one of them. We're hoping to do more of that. Yeah.
Well, congratulations again, and thank you, coaches, for your time and efforts in making sure this happens. We couldn't do it without you. And you're all welcome to stay for the next 3 hours as we go over the parks.
I coach and I run a club team.
Hey.
Obviously, I've been doing it for like years. But you guys ever run?
Oh, no. Yes, I'm sorry. No, it's okay. I brought the.
Oh yeah, and they're yellow. Oh okay. Yeah. Oh, excellent.
Okay, thank you, everyone. And let's go on in the agenda. We're now at item 5.2, Summer Events Preview. Could I ask Community Services Manager Gabby Cowell to present this item?
Good evening, Chair and Commissioners. I'll be providing an overview of some of our upcoming spring and summer events that will specifically be incorporating the 250th theme. Starting with Springfest this past weekend, we have a series of city events that will be promoting the semi-quincentennial theme through event components and or giveaways. I'll go ahead and go into details in the following slides. So first and foremost, thank you to those that were able to join us at the Springfest event this past Saturday at Centennial Park. There were food vendors, kids zone, egg hunts throughout the morning for all ages. And in honor of the 250th anniversary, there were 250 golden eggs sprinkled throughout the adult and teen egg hunt area. If you were there, you know just how competitive and busy the event was. The golden eggs contained prizes or a ticket that could be redeemed at one of our sponsor booths for a prize. We welcome everyone to join us on April 25th for our annual Menifee Better Together. Project check-in begins at 7 a.m. with the kickoff ceremony starting at 7:30 at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints on Bradley Road. Following the ceremony, volunteers will be released to various community service projects located throughout the city. Commemorative 250th branded cooling towels will be given away at this event. Our Park After Dark series will kick off on May 22nd with the first Movies in the Park at Remington Park. This year, our Movie in the Park event has been paired with our third annual Adaptive Sports Fair. There will be resource booths, service providers, and demos on site to promote a variety of sports and fitness activities that are tailored to accommodate any ability. While National Treasure is queued up on the screen, attendees can also pan for gold with the Menifee History Museum booth. The following Movie in the Park will take place on May 29th at Banner Village Park. The Sun City Cruisers will have classic cars on display, while the movie Cars will be playing on the big screen in celebration of 100 years of Route 66. Residents are encouraged to bring out their swim attire to enjoy the splash pad. Menifee Moonlight Market and Concert returns on June 12th at Underwood Park. The tribute band Woody and the Longboards will be on stage performing popular hits from the Beach Boys in the 60s. We invite everyone to come early and grab a limited 250th themed beach ball. The following week, stop by Audie Murphy Ranch Sports Park and Skate Park for another Movie in the Park and Go Skate Day. That day will be showing Captain America Brave New World, which is rated PG-13. Our second Menifee Moonlight Market and Concert will be taking place on July 10th at Centennial Park. The band Y2K2K will be taking us back to the 2000s. And our last Movie in the Park will take place on July 31st at La Ladera with the family classic, The Sandlot. We'll be joined by Animal Friends of the Valley, who will be bringing out adoptable animals, weather permitting, and handing out microchipping vouchers for their clinic. So to circle back to our biggest event of the year, On June 27th, we invite the entire community out to Wheatfield Park for our annual Independence Celebration. The event begins at 5 p.m. this year, starting with our community parade. We invite all of you as our commissioners to join us as part of the parade this year. Returning this year will be food and craft vendors, kid zones with inflatables, photo opportunities, and a beer garden. Additional enhancements this year include increased family-friendly competitions, interactive characters and activities such as stilt walkers, balloon artists, and a bubble artist, and of course 250th branded giveaway items such as a trucker hat and reusable tote bag that you see there on the screen. AV enhancements will include an LED video wall at the back of the stage and a shade top over the stage. Our headlining band is Fat Cat Swinger, which is an 11-piece big band that blends pop, rock, swing, and jazz. And finally, we'll end the night with our spectacular fireworks display. This year's enhancements include a 20-minute show with a 1-minute grand finale, including a much higher volume and greater variety of effects. Over 2,400 aerial shells and 1,500 total shots that will include distinctive and specialty aerial effects such as glittering comets, color-changing shells, serpentine effects, and specialty pattern shells. This is expected to be an electrifying culmination of an exciting day of fun activities. And that concludes my update. I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Ms. Cowell. Any questions, commissioners, for Ms. Cowell? Awesome. Exciting events coming up. Looking forward to participating in as many as I can this year. Well, now let's go to item 6, public comments. This is for non-agenda items. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak on non-agenda items?
There are none.
Okay. Then, hearing none, let's me read this thing, and on our, let's see. So we'll move to item 7 on approval of minutes. And there's one set of minutes for the commission's approval. Does the commission have any modifications to the minutes that were presented to us? Okay, hearing none, can I ask the commission for an all in favor to approve the March 5th meeting minutes as presented?
So moved.
Okay. Any opposed? Hearing none, okay, the minutes are approved. Let's go to number 7. All right, so we have the number 8 on our agenda is the consent calendar, and all matters of the consent calendar are to be approved in one motion unless a commissioner requests a separate action on a specific item on the consent calendar. If an item is removed from the consent calendar, it will be discussed individually and acted upon separately. Madam Clerk, are there any requests to speak on consent calendar items?
There are none.
Okay. Commissioners, are there any items the commission wishes to pull for further discussion? Okay, can I get a motion and second to approve the consent calendar?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Anybody opposed? Okay, we're unanimous in our approval of the consent calendar. So let's move on to, let's see, number 8. Number 9. The discussion items. Number 9.1, Menifee Quimby Assessment and Park Development Process. This is a receive and file recommendation, and let's see, this is going to be led by Ms. Mariana Mitchell. Could you present that?
Yes. Good evening, Chair, Vice Chair, and Commissioners. It's my pleasure to bring forward tonight information regarding the Quimby assessment and how it plays a part in park development here in Menifee. One of the reasons we're kind of bringing this forward is because we do have a new commissioner, and I want to make sure that you're well informed about this process in itself. And then also, there's going to be some upcoming conversations happening at City Council regarding Quimby, as it was requested as a future agenda item request to kind of revisit, review, and see how we can maximize our parkland dedication. So just want to make sure that we all have a good understanding of the process and how it's implemented here in Menifee. And I also had the pleasure of presenting the same information to the Planning Commission last week as well. So everybody's got the same information. So moving on, just to kind of give you a brief overview of what is the Quimby Act. So essentially, this is a California government code that essentially requires all residential subdivisions to dedicate parkland or pay in lieu fees or a combination of the two. So essentially, this is intended to ensure that our parks grow along with our residential growth. And so when developers are bringing in these large subdivisions, that they're meeting the needs of the residents that are coming in with them. So with that, there is a local ordinance that is required. And so we have Menifee Municipal Code Chapter 7.75, which is our parkland dedication and fees. And that kind of goes through what it is, the whole process of how Menifee implements the Quimby Act in our local jurisdiction. So again, this is based on residential density and persons per household. There's a lot of math that goes into it. For my seasoned commissioners, you've seen when we've brought these items forward for affirmation that it meets the Quimby requirement. But ultimately, the other provisions that are required by the Quimby Act is that when we are getting in lieu fees, that the city is collecting in lieu fees to be put towards park space, that there needs to be demonstrated a nexus, a relationship on where those fees are used. And so typically what the California Government Code requires is that those fees be used within the subdivision it came from or within the general area or an area that those residents would benefit from. So, and there's a number of provisions that go along with that, mostly including all of our when we do allocate Quimby fees, those are approved through a public hearing process because it's typically a part of our capital improvement program. So again, those are all kind of like the little nuances to how we get to use those fees that we collect. And per the Quimby Act, the parkland standard is either 3 to 5 acres based on the need in Menifee. And as you know, here in Menifee, we're functioning on the 5 acres per 1,000 residents because we do have a deficit in park space considering our residential numbers. So what can Quimby funds be used for? So there's 3 main areas that they can be used for. One is the acquisition of parkland, meaning that we could save the Quimby fees and later purchase land in that area, the subdivision, or an area that will benefit the entire city. We can develop new parks, or we can rehabilitate or expand on existing parks. So in the time that I've been here, we haven't actually used Quimby fees to purchase or acquire land at this time. But we are currently using Quimby fees for the development of new parks. I have the example of Quail Valley Nature Park. That is one of the biggest ones that we've put funding towards. And then one of our other current CIPs is La Ladera Park, where we are using Quimby to expand the number of amenities by increasing from 1 ball field to 2 ball fields and adding in sports field lighting. So again, just that component of that, the Quimby fees must serve the residents where the funds originated from or serve the much larger city at large when it comes to utilizing the funds. So there are some limitations, and as I mentioned, this is only applicable to residential developments, so commercial doesn't have to provide parkland, dedicate parkland, or pay in lieu fees. The timing of the fees is we have 5 years to commit those fees to a project, or else they have to be refunded. Again, that nexus requirement, making sure that it's being used to benefit the subdivision that had contributed those fees. And then, of course, we've got to make sure that it aligns with the overall goals of the general plan and our parks master plan. So this is a little more information on our implementation here in Menifee based on our municipal code. And we do have a parkland dedication formula that is kind of, as I mentioned, based on the number and type of units, and which determines the average persons per household, and our park acreage standards, which is that 5 acres per 1,000 residents. And so our typical parkland dedication formula is that average population per unit times the 5 acres per 1,000. That gives us the acreage of parkland per unit, and then we multiply that by the number of units of that development. So the average population per unit is a number that is identified through census data, and can be updated on a regular basis depending upon what information we're using. So obviously the census is every 10 years. There's the American Community I can't remember, Department of Finance that also has, for the United States, that also has additional population data that we can use to update those numbers. So in case you're wondering, how did those numbers come about? They're based on the census. And so when we're looking at this, depending upon the amount of parkland that's required to be dedicated, developers can either satisfy that through the land dedication, meaning giving us and building us a park, or the paying in lieu fees based on fair market value, which often requires an appraisal, or a combination of both. So what's a little unique about our Quimby, our Menifee Municipal Code is that it is based on fair market value. Sometimes you'll see jurisdictions that have a set fee that they apply to all developments regardless of where they're located in the city. And one of the reasonings behind that when our municipal code was updated in 2019 was that we wanted to be able to fluctuate with the real estate market. So sometimes when real estate is worth more, we want to be able to get more bang for our buck when we're asking people to pay in lieu fees versus when the market may take a slump, and just, to have that flexibility to be based on fair market value as opposed to a static dedicated fee. So we also have the capacity to offer credits. They're considered Quimby credits, but it's 50% credit for parkland for private recreational amenities that are maintained by the HOA. And typically the provisions are that they must be active recreation spaces, so meaning that these spaces within these HOAs are actively mitigating the use of city parks because they have amenities within their own neighborhood. So at that point, we're willing to give 50% credit. And, really this is about enhancing what's available to all residents. And so typically Quimby credits do come before the Parks, Recreation and Trails Commission to affirm that, yes, this is active recreation. We do agree this will lessen the impact on our parks, and because of that, we're willing to give 50% credit for that park space. So now I've got a few examples of things that most of you probably have already seen. Just an example of what parkland dedication looks like in the formula and how it works within the process. So this one before you is Cantilena. This is a 935 single-family attached garage dwelling units. And the parkland dedication requires that the developer dedicate 13.32 acres of parkland. And so because of that, the developer has worked with us and this commission to come up with this conceptual design to build us a 13.97 acre, which meets the Quimby Act parkland dedication requirements. And then an example of in lieu fees, this one was a recent one too. We recently saw Nautical Cove, which is 233 single-family attached garage dwelling units. So this development requires 3.32 acres of parkland. They do have HOA amenities, including a lake. However, the lake is not considered an active recreation space, so we didn't consider that as a part of our Quimby credit. But they have a recreation center, pool, and a park, 1.65 acres, and so commission saw that these are active recreation spaces, and so allowed for the 50% credit for that. And with the appraisal of 1 acre of parkland coming in at $185,000, the Quimby fee calculated just to be just over $460,000. So lots of math. Sorry to bring math on a Thursday evening. And then this one is also most recent one is Cimarron Ridge. This is a combination of both. This is both parkland dedication and in lieu fees. And so what kind of happened with this project is that when Cimarron Ridge first came forward, they were going to be building us a 10.9 acre park. And then through some adjustments in the design, the park came in at 10.19 acres. So just a little shy of the 10.77 that's required by our municipal code. And so because of that, they ended up paying that difference by when we got the appraisal of 1 acre of parkland, the difference came into just over $185,000 for Quimby fees that were assessed. And we're still getting the 10.19 acre park. So this is kind of one of those situations where if they can't meet the entire dedication, then they will have to pay the remaining in lieu fees. So of course, this was presented to Planning Commission, so I want to keep the picture of you guys in here. But basically the role of the Parks, Recreation, and Trails Commission, as you know, you serve as an advisory body to City Council, and you provide input on our park planning, our system priorities, the conceptual park designs all come before you to provide input on the amenities and needs of the community, and then also recommendations on where some of these funds might be used for additional park development when we talk through our budget preparation and our CIP projects. So that's something that we heavily rely on this commission to assist with. And then also you guys do review and affirm consistency with the Quimby Act requirements for these developments as they come through and recommend the credit for private HOA recreational amenities. So kind of bringing it to a close, the whole idea about Quimby and how it supports our park development is essentially the Quimby Act does allow for our park to grow with our residents, with our number, our population. And so really kind of helps us ensure that the development continues to contribute to our park system, that we have multiple ways of making that happen, either through parkland dedication or in lieu fees or a combination of it, but really supporting the balanced approach of Quimby addressing what happens within the neighborhood level, and then also having that flexibility to address amenities that serve the city as a whole. So that concludes my report. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
The appraisal process,
Yes.
who does it? Do we have multiple sources, just one? And do we appraise the value before the construction or after as it's averaged into it?
That's a great question. So we do have a list of appraisers that are certified as per our municipal code. And so they could either use one of the appraisers on our list, or if they have an appraiser that meets the certification, they can use theirs. But it has to be 1 acre of improved land. So it can't be 1 desolate acre of land. And so it has to be at the approved entitled status. So because that would be the value that we would be paying if we had to buy parkland in lieu of that. So that's where we get that 1 acre appraisal from. Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Tremblay?
Thank you for going over all the information. I was just curious, do we have any plans to actually purchase land? Because I know you stated that we hadn't done that at this point with the Quimby fees.
We haven't done that. It's been something that, and I'm going to talk through it a little bit more in my director's comments, because we had the conversation about a regional sports facility with City Council last night. That has been something that we've talked about. Where we tend to get into the issue with Quimby fees particularly, and even with our development impact fees, that they often do have to be committed in a certain amount of time period. And because of our needs of our current projects, those tend to take priority. So it's hard for us to kind of save and pocket large sums of money without getting those committed within that 5-year time period. But, again, we're always looking for great things like Menifee Hills that happen to be a very opportunistic time and place where the current landowner was looking to kind of offload the property, and it just so happened that there was some additional fees, funds that were available from community benefit funds from other projects that made that happen. So it may not always be Quimby that does it, but it can be used towards that. We just haven't done that yet.
Okay, and then have we had to return any fees because we didn't complete projects within that 5-year mark?
We've got a long list of things to complete, so we have not had to return any fees.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other commissioners have questions? Commissioner Peterson?
Regarding these fees, if we do purchase land and we choose not to develop that into parkland, for example, are we allowed to sell that land for a profit?
That's a great question. Probably something I'd have to run through the city attorney's office, but I'm going to say that there's probably some restrictions. Like oftentimes when we go through grants and other agencies are giving us funding for parkland, it normally has to be deed restricted. So we just haven't gone through that, but I can definitely get some clarification on that and get back to you on that one.
Okay. And then also one more question. Excuse me. Regarding the nexus, how is that actually like overseen, or what qualifies something to be, these Quimby funds can be used for this particular purchase or this project?
So typically when funds do come in, we work with our finance department, who kind of identifies which subdivision they came in with and what's the surrounding area and what projects are eligible. And so we kind of go through that process every year when we go through our capital improvement program. So we start looking at identifying funds to help projects that are in need of completion or things that we want to make sure, has the funding. That we'll go through that process. So the checks and balances with our finance department.
Okay. And that's entirely within our city. There's not like a county or a state oversight. It's just within Menifee.
All within Menifee.
Okay, thank you.
And finally, I had just a few questions. First off, why the difference in acreage attached versus detached garage? When garages aren't detached, are they usually larger pieces of property, or why is there a difference? It's 3.12 versus 2.85 if it's an attached garage? Just curious of where that came from in the Quimby calculation.
That's a great question.
Yeah. Something we've just inherited over.
I believe that's something that with the development department, they did a major overhaul with all of the dwelling types in 2019. So that was a part of that. But I think the assumption is that when there's a detached garage, that there's more room, more space to fill, and possibly more people. But I don't have that exact answer. I could research that and get back to you.
Yeah, I was just curious. And getting back to the appraisal, so I guess I haven't noticed the appraisal fees calculation that like 185 in the example, 185,000 per acre. It's been different in each of the Quimbys. It's not a set based on our city. We don't set that as there's a minimum or something that we rely on appraisal each time, so that fee changes depending on where it is in the city.
Yes.
Okay.
It changes with each project.
Okay. And so you had mentioned that we didn't use Quimby funds to purchase the Menifee Hills. We used community benefit funds. And where do those come from?
I want to say...
There was a particular development I understood that had...
I want to say it was the Nova battery storage development that was required to provide funding to the city for community benefit in order to proceed with the project. And so when that money gets set aside, it can be utilized almost like general fund at the city's discretion. And so that's where that funding came from.
Okay, and other than census or appraisal value, if we wanted to somehow increase the requirement, how is that done? If we wanted to say, no, we don't want 2.48 or 2.85 for single family residential, we want it 3. The population has to be is 3, or that's based on census, I guess. Where in this whole process do we increase the revenue or the acreage requirements?
So Quimby Act, it's very specific. And so the Quimby Act is what says we have to use verifiable data like census data to create the population per household. And their maximum is 5 acres per 1,000. So where the the kind of above and beyond, because some of the things that came up when I had presented this to the Planning Commission was, well, then how do we get developers to not just dedicate parkland, but also provide us these great parks? And part of that is because of our Menifee Municipal Code. So the Municipal Code has the Quimby Act information embedded in it, but our Municipal Code is what says to developers that we're not going to take a park less than 3 acres, and says that it has to have a certain slope, and that's based in our Municipal Code. So we do have the capacity to take a look at that and say there's more things that we want. And also, there's also some opportunities in the general plan. We know that we had the open space element that came before us as a presentation recently. There's also some additional legislation in California that wants to revisit urban canopies, which means that those are opportunities to revisit parkland dedication through the general plan as well. Because there are other agencies who, although Quimby says you can only require 5 acres per thousand, as a city, we want 5 acres of active recreation, but we also want 3 acres of open space, or, to kind of like, whatever our goals are as an organization through the city, there's additional tools like the municipal code, the general plan, and our master plan that can kind of help us build, increase that. Quimby's very specific to what they're allowed, so.
All right. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Commissioners, any other comments or discussion?
Yes,
Commissioner Goodwin?
just to fill in some past information, which this commission may not have available or don't know of. When the commission was first formed, we were at 3 acres per thousand. And one of the first actions that the commission recognized was that we needed more land. We had a deficit. So they moved that we should make this 5 acres per thousand. That's what got us to that point. Also, in the past, the city council decided we should average all the real estate prices. So no matter where in the city somebody was building, they had a flat rate, that, if you want to call it that, for every project. And that was eventually changed over to where we are now, that it's an individual appraisal based upon whether it's Quail Valley, Roma Land, or the center of the city, for example. Just to kind of fill you in on some
Okay,
background.
I appreciate that. Thanks, Tom. Commissioner Peterson?
So the NRPA is recommending, or I guess the average, what did they say? The typical park and recreation agency offers 1 park per 2,400 residents roughly, and 10.2 acres of parkland per 1,000 residents. Is based off of the Quimby, the 5 acre max. Is it possible to get beyond 5 acres per 1,000, or is that not possible?
Sorry about that. Quimby wouldn't be the mechanism for that, but if we were to say, again, revisit our general plan, the recreation and open space, those are other avenues that could help us get there.
Okay, so Quimby would just be for the actual, what the developer's giving us, whether it's in money or land.
Yeah, we can only require the 5 acres per thousand based on Quimby. If we go above and beyond that, we need other mechanisms like municipal code or the general plan to support that.
Gotcha, thank you.
This is a receive and file item, so no further actions required from the commission. Let's move to 9.2, committee appointments. Director Mitchell, would you like to present this?
All right, so it's that time again. We've got a few committees or subcommittees that we ask for representation from our Parks, Recreation, and Trails commissioners to participate in. One of them being the Teen Awards Selection Committee. We also have the Amphitheater Ad Hoc Committee, and then the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategies Committee. So those are our 3 active committees. We used to have one with the Riverside County Transportation Committee, but that project has now been completed, so there's not a need for a representative at this time. But I'd welcome the commission to have a discussion on our current appointees, and if anybody's interested in filling the 1 vacancy that we do have on the SEDS committee.
Okay, thank you. Does everybody understand that, commissioners? Let's just, there's nobody here to speak, so I'm going to skip those line items. But commissioners, you'd like to discuss this. Commissioner Peterson?
I'd actually like to, the Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy Committee to me seems very interesting, and if somebody would like to take my spot on the Amphitheater Ad Hoc Committee, I would love to be involved in the CEDS committee.
That sounds great. Is the amphitheater ad hoc committee still active?
Yes, it is.
It is, okay. Commissioner Matoya?
Just be new, can I get a little more information on what the committees are doing so I can decide if I can help my friend out?
Yes. So the Teen Award Selection Committee, I think I might pass on to Gabby because I think she has more information on how often or the time commitment that's required.
So for the Teen Awards, we meet 3 times a year. And their seasonal awards, we take nominations in from the community. And right now, we pretty much do most of it virtual. We'll send out the nominations to various community members, such as our PRTC commissioners, to just go through and select their top candidates for each of the areas. We'll present that. You don't necessarily have to attend council meeting for the presentation, but you can. And then at the end of the year in May, we typically have our annual banquet for our teen awards. And at that time, we pull all of the nominations we've received throughout the year. We give each of the teens a chance to submit their own nomination to prove why they should be selected as Teen of the Year. And then we'll send that out to the panel members to take a look at and select our top and our second.
Commissioner Matoya, would that be something you'd be interested in doing? Because I'm willing to give up my spot and let you have that spot. Or if you'd like to be on the amphitheater, committee, we could just keep it as it is.
And just so you know what the Center Park Amphitheater Ad Hoc Committee is, originally the Ad Hoc Committee was intended for the design, and now the Ad Hoc Committee is more focused on the programming for the future amphitheater once it's complete. We meet as needed. We are looking to reconvene this committee in the spring, so looking at a May, probably a May date.
I'm willing to do either one, whatever. If you'd like to stay on the team, or if you want to move to amphitheater, I'm willing to do whatever so we can get Peterson over to the economic development.
Okay. Well, I would like to be on the amphitheater ad hoc committee, and if you'd like to take my spot on teen awards, I think you'd enjoy that too. So.
Yes, sir. Consider it done.
Okay, any other comments? And I'll just read what I've got notes in. So the new committee appointments as proposed, Commissioner Tremblay, Commissioner Matoya as a Teen Award Selection Committee, Commissioner Faust and Commissioner Tremblay on the Amphitheater Ad Hoc Committee, Commissioner Peterson and Commissioner Gidroyce as an alternate on the CEDS, Comprehensive Economic Development Strategy Committee. Is that everybody in agreement with that? Can I have a motion for all in favor?
So moved.
Okay. Can I motion everyone to consent? All approve?
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? Okay. So that will be the new committee selections. Thank you very much. All right. We're at item number 10 on the agenda. Community Services Director, comments.
Yep, this is me again. All right, so I just wanted to give a brief recap in case you weren't able to watch last night's City Council meeting, but we did have a discussion on regional sports facility, and this was an item that was a future agenda item request, and it kind of gave us the opportunity to kind of take a look at, what our current context of, what it would take to build a sports park, what's currently happening in the community, and then also, what are some of the future actions or policies, decisions on policies that can be made to help make this come to fruition. And so essentially, what it comes down to is that this is much bigger than a parks discussion. It's not just building a park. It's also talking about the economic development drivers that this park brings to the community. It's talking about land use, because of course these are large facilities. We as a city don't own a lot of land, and so kind of working out how land use and how the council approves land use could either lend itself to the construction of one of these sports parks or provide additional funding to fund the construction of a sports park. And then kind of looking at, some of the regional sports parks that are in the area in comparison to one of the bigger ones. We kind of zoomed in on the one that's getting a lot of press right now, which is the Ontario Sports Empire. Not sure if you had to see that, got a chance to see, that 190-acre sports facility with $100 million invested by the city and a MLB affiliation with the LA Dodgers. So kind of like the best case scenario for a sports complex. And so although we don't have that Ontario airport money, we do have a lot of great things happening in Menifee. And I think it's really important that when we're going through this, that yes, this is where we want to be, but we also have a lot of great projects that are in the works. We were able to focus in on a little bit on Menifee Hills being a regional destination for hiking, biking, and outdoor recreation. The Gale Webb Action Sports Park being one of the largest Southern California pump tracks and bike playgrounds, and what we're hoping to do with the Evans Park North, which is the parcel that we also own right across the street from that, just kind of expanding from Gale Webb to do additional competition-ready amenities and grandstands, and of course a restroom. So those are things that we're looking at there because it's already a success as it is. We were able to work with economic development who pulled the numbers, and they see over 40,000 residents a year. And so it's obviously a regional attraction as it is. So for us to be able to expand on that could definitely broaden that impact and again bring in that economic development that we're looking for. And then we also have future Menifee Valley Sports Park coming in at Menifee Valley, which, isn't completely out of conceptual design quite yet, but we really worked with the developer to expand on some of those amenities, really expanding not just, we just didn't want a pool or an aquatic, we want an aquatics complex. And so looking at expanding that as well as the tournament-ready pickleball courts, event-ready open spaces, things of that nature that could really bring the community together in an area that really doesn't have these type of amenities in the northeast portion of Menifee. And then last but not least, we touched on the Menifee Parks valley-wide annexation process and how we were given direction on that, and we're slowly making progress on that. I hope to have an update in the next couple months more with just a little more information to provide you. But again, that is a huge undertaking as it is as well, because again, that's not just a commitment to us saying we're going to bring in 12 new parks into our park system, over 65 acres of parkland, but then we're also committing over $650,000 annually to the maintenance and operation of these parks, and that's not including capital investments. So all of that's kind of in play, and really with the understanding that there are a number of future agenda item requests that are going back to City Council. Like I mentioned, the Quimby item will be going back to City Council. That item was requested by Mayor Estrada, so we're going to wait for his return before we're able to bring that back. And then also there was an additional future agenda item request for charitable organizations or partnerships that could help make some of these goals happen. And so again, that was also an item that was requested by Mayor Estrada, so we'll bring back when he's back on council. So those are some of the things that we just kind of talked about, and council's really supportive of what we've already got going, and of course we all want a sports facility. I think that was very apparent by everybody who was there last night in the comments from council, as well as we had one speaker from the public, that we want people to stop leaving Menifee to do these things. And so it's just a matter of finding the right policies and partners mostly to make sure that we can get there. So that's essentially that when these things do come forward, that we are going to be bringing the idea of what a regional sports facility would look like, and kind of keep that at the forefront while we're in the meantime still working on some of these other larger projects. So that's my recap of my presentation from last night. But again, it was really great to hear that council is really supportive of what we do as an organization, what we do in community services, and your advisory capacity to council is really helpful in making that happen. So I want to thank you guys for that. And again, more to come. So kind of to be determined, more to come on this for sure.
And thank you for sharing the PowerPoint presentation you gave to the City Council last night with us. And also the MOR, is
The
that,
market opportunity
Market
report?
Opportunity Report. Did you send that to everyone?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, awesome. So I encourage my fellow commissioners to review those as well. Commissioner Gidroy, you have a question?
Yeah, I do have a question. I wasn't at that meeting, so I'd like to ask, if I recall, the Parks Master Plan talks about annexing the 40-acre flood control property adjacent to Heritage High School, which is in our sphere of influence, but not within our boundary. Did that get talked about?
No, unfortunately, that did not.
Is that still on the books?
No, it's not, because it's outside of the boundaries.
Okay.
Commissioner Peterson, question?
I have a question about the heat map that was shown on the same slide as the Gale Webb Action Sports Park. Can you explain kind of, with the number of visits we have high and low, like how Menifee is sitting right in the middle of a huge red area? Can you kind of explain what the high and lows mean there?
So the PowerPoint that I gave you it's not a part of tonight's meeting, so I don't want to get too far into the details. But the heat map essentially, the red is just basically that's where people are coming from. Most frequent users are coming from those red areas. So those are the repeat visitors to Gale Webb.
Okay, so we're just right in the middle of a hotspot, essentially.
People are coming to us from
Oh, got it.
those
Is this
areas.
specific for the?
For Gale Webb?
Got
Yes.
it. Okay, thank you.
Great spot. Okay, thanks. You can continue on. Ms.
Okay. The rest of my updates are just updates of meetings and events that are coming up. Our first capital improvement workshop for the community is happening on April 15th at 4 p.m. If you're available, we welcome you to join us here in City Council chambers. And then our next few upcoming events is Multicultural Festival on April 11th. We know tax season is right around the time. We have the Spring Shred Fest, which is a very opportune time to get rid of those documents that you're ready to destroy without having to worry about people taking your personal and private information. So take advantage of it if you can. I believe everybody gets 2 banker boxes, and we encourage you to arrive early. And then we have All Abilities Night at the Storm Stadium happening on April 21st. $11 tickets, supporting local, I believe that's presented by Rotary and some of our local other nonprofits. And then last but certainly not least, we have Menifee Better Together happening on April 25th, starting at 7 a.m. at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints on Bradley and Lacey Creek. And that's a great event. We encourage anybody who's interested in, or if you want to get your family out, to really take the time and give back to the community and helping us out with the senior home revitalization projects, as well as some of the park projects that we have. And that concludes my comments for tonight.
Thank you, Director. And I just want to encourage everyone in the audience that might be watching, just please register early for the Menifee Better Together. It's a wonderful event. It's where the community comes together to be able to help beautify our city. And it's just been gosh, I think this is the 15th year, I believe. Is it? It's been around a while, but it's a great thing to be a part of. Thank you. So let's move on to 11 on the agenda, Commissioner reports on committee activities. Commissioners, do you have anything to report on committee activities or other events? Commissioner Peterson.
Okay, well, I had the honor of attending the Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans event, and it was, as usual, a very emotional experience. I mean, honestly, I can't really put words into the way I feel, about especially the speakers and when I see the men and women that are, that had served, and I'm getting a good feel for really what they gave, and some of them gave a lot. If they didn't give their life, they barely have anything left that they're hanging on to, and I have such a high level of appreciation for those people, and I couldn't imagine how they felt coming home, and essentially being terrorized for serving our country, and serving our citizens. Excellent event and highly recommended for anyone who's not able to make it this year. Definitely, it's a good one. And then with that, Springfest. And of course, that one's a lot of fun. The egg hunt gets a little dicey. Both parents with their 0 to 3-year-olds and the adults, pretty much the in between those two age groups was kind of calm, and it worked out pretty well. But oddly enough, the 0 to 3s was pretty brutal, and the adults were pretty brutal. But all in all, a very fun time. So That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Any other reports, commissioners? I was able to attend the Wildlife Appreciation Day. That was a wonderful event at Central Park. It's the first event we've had at Central Park in maybe a couple of years, I think. So it was great to be back there and under the umbrella of our new Christmas tree and the new clock, and it's really coming along there. I also was able to attend Springfest, and that was a lot of fun, and certainly seemed to be well attended. And then I wasn't able to attend in person the Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans program, but I watched the live stream, and I just wanted to put a shout out to our IT folks that were responsible for filming that. It was just really well done and professional, and I mean, watching it from home, I really felt like I was there, and it was wonderful. Any other comments, commissioners? Okay, then let's go to item 12, future agenda requests from commissioners. Would any commissioners like to request a future agenda item? These are the existing ones here that are on it. Land acquisition for bike and hiking trails, exploring historical interpretive signs, and parks annexation process update, which will come in a couple of months. Okay, hearing none, let's then we will adjourn this meeting at 7 p.m. Thank you, everyone, for your attendance. Have a great weekend.